So let's go through this. Why trading? Why do we want to trade Forex? Why do we want to trade crypto? Why do we want to trade indices, volatility? Why do we want to trade stocks? There has to be a reason that brought you to the dance. My reason was that I was told I wasn't good enough, pretty much. And I needed a distraction to not commit suicide. That was how I started trading. And it's sad, right? Because the papa you might think like he has it all together. He has everything in check. There's nothing in the world that he could want in the world. But remember, I was a beginner just like you. I didn't have a mentor who taught me how to trade. I had to learn the wrong way and the right way. I had to blow my account dozens of times. I had to go broke to be able to study what worked for me to be able to make this into a curriculum. You need to identify why you are trading, because that reason is going to be the reason why you trade, okay, is the reason why you cannot quit. Whatever the reason is, okay, it's the reason that you cannot quit. Now, obviously, my reason in Forex has changed because you should never use revenge as a medium for success. You shouldn't be entering into the trading world saying that I am going to be rich and successful so I can show the witches in my family who is boss. No, that is small-minded thinking. I am going to do this because my girlfriend broke up with me. I wish I had someone to slap me across the face and say that I should leave my fiance be because there are greater things ahead of me and I should focus on something tangible. The reason why you are trading is the reason that will sustain you through your journey. And I'm not going to lie to you. Of course, this is going to be recorded, okay? Relax, focus on taking notes. This reason has to sustain you. This reason should be written on your wall, on your door, on your phone. So when things are hard, you will remind yourself that you cannot quit. And I'm not going to lie to you, not everybody here is going to make it through. You need to have a change of mindset and a change of perspective to be able to get to the next level. Not everyone is going to get winning results. Not everyone is going to get the same result. I am not going to promise riches overnight, neither am I going to promise riches over time. But what I can assure is that if you follow these steps, with God, all things are possible. So don't come into this thing thinking that, well, I've paid my $40 to learn beginners bootcamp. I want to make 1,000 pips a week. Why haven't I done it? You need to be disciplined to be able to get to your goal. All right. And all the saints say a big amen. Your reason is personal to you. Your reason is the reason why you stay up at night and the reason why it gets you up early in the morning. Your reason is the reason why you cannot eat, because succeeding towards that reason is fuel to the fire to fill your stomach. If your reason isn't big enough, it doesn't have enough conviction, then your reason to start trading is the wrong foundation. And Jesus said it is better to build a foundation on stone than on sand. This trading reason must be something that you can build a foundation on. This reason should be able to outlive you and outlive your children. If it only has to benefit you, then your reason is too small. Trust me, I am fired up this evening, and I don't think I'm going to use 2 hours. I think I'm going to go 3, because the content I'm going to be able to cover in this end time, you need it. What is your reason? Why are you trading? If you are trading just to make money, go and get a job, because a job will pay you money. If you just want money, go and be a doctor, because trust me, being a doctor has a higher success rate than being a Forex trader. Your reason needs to be bigger than what it seems. And it's the reason why it keeps you up at night. A reason why it wakes you up in the morning. And so once you have that reason, you need to set goals, what I call intermediary goals, to get to your big goal. So yes, everybody wants to make $1 million, but let's be realistic in this dispensation. Realistically speaking, the average African, and maybe someone can dispute this fact, does not make more than $2,000 a year. True or false? Maybe in South Africa, it might be a bit different. Can someone confirm with me that the average African, maybe even in West Africa, because South Africa might be different, Botswana might be different, Zimbabwe might be different, but the average African I have seen does not make more than $2,000 in a single year. So for you to have a goal to say, I want to make 1 million, I'm sorry, as your mentor, I have to slap that out of you. I'm not discouraging the fact of making money, but I want things to be done in a realistic sense. And that's where I believe a lot of beginners got carried away. They were able to make the money, but they were not responsible enough to keep what they have made. And so what you need to identify is, how I do it with a lot of my students is that you need to trade to be able to replace your job, and you should be able to replace your job and cover at least 5 years of that. So yesterday I told an individual in the VIX masterclass, you made your 15,000, quit your job now. He has now guaranteed at least 5 years, 5 years without working. So in his first year, he can establish the business, and we've gone through a personal thing. He did a one-on-one class. We've been able to assess his goals. He wants to get into farming and agriculture, and he told me that 3 acres or 3 hectares of land is $1,300, and his dream was, I just want one. I just want one of them. 3 hectares of land. And I'm looking at him. I said, "Are you crazy?" I actually had to call him last night. I said, "No, no, 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 no. Your dream was to get one, but you've been able to get the skill that can afford you 10. Well, I mean, 30 acres, really." So I said, "Why didn't you just get 10 acres? Why didn't you build a greenhouse? You have all the tools needed right now because your why was able to keep you fueling." And it wasn't that he got these results yesterday and today. He started this journey with me nearly 2 years ago. He had his one-on-one class a year ago. And now he is seeing that this thing works. But the reason that he kept on trying is that one day, I want to be able to grow my own crops. I want to be able to distribute to people all around Botswana. I want to be able to be the leading distributor of whatever the crop or the harvest is. Now he's in a position to do so. That was why he started trading. Why do you want to trade? And why this avenue? Why Forex? Why VIX? Why stocks? Whatever it is, you now need to create realistic goals in between. So if the average African does not make $2,000 in a year, you should not be thinking that I want to make $2,000 a month yet. And we're going to learn that God appreciates the small things in life, not the big things. God doesn't want you wishing that you want $1 million. God says that I will supply your daily bread, your daily needs. So if you're able to cater for your daily needs and your daily bread through the gift of the brain, which God has given you, you are now able to get the excess that you need. So you start not small, start realistically. Replace your job. Then multiply what you would make at your job times 2. Then go times 3, then go times 4, then go times 5. Now you can say that, hey, I've got something over here. I can now get rent for 2 years, which recently happened to a guy in Accra. He recently was able to get 2 years of rent through trading. Okay. He's now able to think about what business does he want to do. He has saved himself 2 years of time by being able to now diversify his income. That is why we want to get into trading. Now, on top of that, I want you to remember this verse for life. You see, when it comes to financial advice, you always want to look up. But when it comes to feedback, you look down. What does it mean? As a business owner, when you want feedback on your service or your products, look down. Okay, look at the people buying from you. But when you want to get to a higher echelon, as Kingsley would say, you look up to a person that you aspire to be at the level at. And so when I take financial advice, I'm not going to take it from Joe Blow or Uncle Kojo or Auntie Akuya from the local Zongo Junction. I'm going to take advice from someone who I want to be at. And luckily for us, for those who are of the Christian faith, we have a financial advisor in the Bible by the name of King Solomon. And he said this very profound thing. He said 2 things, actually. I'm going to say the second thing first and then the first thing second. He said, I believe it's Ecclesiastes chapter 9 or maybe chapter 12. He said that he met a man that was wiser than him. Can you believe it? We attribute King Solomon to be so wise, but he said that there was a guy wiser than him. And through his wisdom, his small village was able to subdue a big city, right? He was able to talk his way out of being under siege from a big empire, and he was able to capitalize using wisdom. Now, King Solomon said something very profound. Nobody remembers his name because he was broke. And after he was able to win the victory, this man, okay, went around to his own people and said, hey guys, I'm the one that liberated you. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. And then he said this statement, a poor man's wisdom is despised. Are there any pastors here? Are there any pastors here? You can validate what I am saying. He said, a small man, a broke man's wisdom is despised. But those who are rich are often listened to. Okay? All right? I want to put that into your head first. I think it's Ecclesiastes 9. It's towards the end, or it's Ecclesiastes 12. One of those two. I'll find the verse maybe during the break. So what we have to understand here when it comes to trading is that trading is a wisdom-based business. I want everyone to write that down. Trading is a wisdom-based business. This is what King Solomon said, that no matter how smart you are, if you are broke, no one will listen to you. I'll take that financial advice any day over my auntie Sewa or any other person who thinks they know better. Trading is based on wisdom, which means that you have to attribute your trading to psychology. You don't trade your way through thinking that you want to be rich. You trade your way through using wisdom. If you're with me so far, drop in a Y or a yes. I know this is a route that we didn't go through with the beginners bootcamp. This is a strong foundation that we are laying for this remastered group. So you have to use wisdom when it comes to trading. And then he said something else, okay, in Ecclesiastes 11, 1, 2. He said that you need to be able to diversify. When you're seeing all these new age millionaires talking about diversification, they got their advice from someone else first. King Solomon said, you need to cast your bread upon the waters. Someday you may yield a return. Other versions say, invest into 6 or 7 or 7 or 8 income streams. Someday your returns might spoil. He's saying, learn to diversify. When you're able to diversify, there is no way that all 8 or 7 or 6 of your investments will spoil. But when you put everything in one basket, that is when things look to spoil. And so when you are looking at this at beginners bootcamp, you need to learn from scratch, from your infancy, that you need to diversify. Have an offline business, have 2 or 3 trading accounts inside your broker so that you don't risk blowing your account. Learn to diversify. We're going to touch on that in a bit. But let's now get into the crux of our lesson by reviewing some things that we have learned in the past. We are trading an element called geometry. I am not the founder of geometry, but I'm going to be considered, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I'll be the Apostle Paul of geometry when it comes to Forex, because I have learned to personalize this thing and make it my own. But this form of geometry is not like the other forms. There are 4 main steps that you need to identify when it comes to this form of geometry. Number 1, geometry. This form of geometry is a combination of shapes and numbers. Number 2, this form of geometry is based on godly and biblical principles. Even Allah is a God of numbers. Okay, we're going to go through that as well. Okay, this form of geometry goes against anything the world has taught about FX. If you're a Forex trader here and you're new to me, what I teach is pretty much the opposite of what you know. And what I teach gives results. The best thing about this one is you don't need any prior experience. Okay? This form of geometry is not a respecter of person. Your doctorate is not a factor here. Your 5 or 6 degrees in your PhD and your honors is not a factor here. If you follow these principles, then you are able to make it through. So let's go back into point number one, a combination of shapes and numbers. If you know what a shape is, how to recognize one, and you can count to 10, then you stand to benefit at making money. And point number one and point number two go together, because all throughout, since the creation of time and since the creation of man and since the creation of the world, God used shapes and numbers to dictate. That is why when you go through Hebrew numerology, okay, numbers have a certain power when it comes to certain things. So one being the beginning or God, 8 being new beginning. When you play a piano, you know that 1 and 8 are the same note, an octave, right? That was derived from the spiritual understanding of what God had put in place. He created everything before man was introduced, and he created man on the 6th day. And 6 represents the strength of man. But it has been perverted by the devil, which I'll go through later, by giving a tri-score 6. He wants to try and pervert those numbers that God had originally established. That is why the same shapes that God has introduced, the devil also inverts those shapes. You want to talk about a triangle, you talk about the Trinity. You flip the triangle upside down, you're talking about the unholy Trinity. When you're talking about a square, you're talking about the church or the temple. But when you turn it to the side and it's a diamond, it's representing a different thing. So these things have its origin based. And the devil has done everything he can to counterfeit whatever is real. That is why he can never go up to the number of 7, because that's God's number, perfection. That's why he rested on the 7th day. Everything was done, perfect, sabbatical, finished. Everything he has tried to do. Numbers are very, very important. I'm sorry I'm preaching, but I feel like I need to go through this route. In the book of Exodus, I believe it's 13:16, or is it 16:13? I think it's 13:16. The Israelites had just gotten out of Egypt, and God said, look, you were in captivity for a long time. You were chained by the hands and by the feet. Okay, but now I have released you. So let this be a sign like it's on your hand or your forehead that the Lord has delivered you out of Egypt. Correct? That is what he said. So the mark of freedom was having no mark at all. But then in Revelation, Apostle John talks about a beast and an antichrist that will force a mark to be on the hand and the forehead of the same hand and forehead that God said is free. Why is the devil trying to mark those things? Because that freedom allows man to be back in the image of God. To put a brand or a mark on a human being means that the person now owns you, which is why slavery was a big thing. When you had a slave, you brand them so they become your property. So branding became a thing when it came to God, and the devil tried to counteract that. Okay? So what we do here is based on God. That is why we are different, because we acknowledge God in everything that we do. Now, it then goes into point number 3, because what the world teaches and what we teach are two different things. The world will teach you that 30 and 70 of the RSI are places to buy and sell. We say 50 is the place to buy and sell, and 30 and 70 are our take profits. We are opposite. And no prior experience. You don't need any other elaboration to that. If you're with me this far, if you're enjoying this, type in a Y or a yes, and I'll continue on to that. So we now have to go to the perceptions of Forex. And we talk about how Forex, a lot of people, when you tell people that, look, I'm going to trade Forex, they're going to say, hey, don't do that. Don't invest, because Forex is risky. And yes, it is. I'm not going to say it's not. I'm not going to say that Forex is not risky, but everything in life is risky. There's a measure of risk that you take whenever you do anything. For example, I know, especially in Nigeria, that you cannot cross the road because you feel like crossing the road. Whether you are on the road or not, if you are on it, the driver who is driving will speed up to hit you. Such is life, right? So crossing the road in Africa is a risk. Not even that, driving on these potholed roads are a risk, but you don't put that into consideration. right? Most of us don't wear seatbelts when we get into a car, but we know that it's risky. We do it anyway. Many people who have flown know that at any time the plane can crash, but yet we still are praying for visas to go to Canada or the US. That has not stopped us. So don't tell me that you should not do Forex because it's risky, right? It is risky. But out of all those things, Forex is the only thing that I've mentioned that won't kill you. Amen. Crossing the road and being hit by full force by a car will kill you. Being in a plane that will crash can kill you. Driving in a car at full speed through a pothole, going into a ditch can kill you. Forex does not kill you. What's the worst that can happen? You will lose your money. You shouldn't risk more than you have, but at the end of the day, it's not something that could physically kill you. So that's the first thing you need to understand. And who has put that fear into the minds of people? I'm sorry to say, but we have bankers in the room. The bank is probably the number one propagator of this notion that it's risky. Don't invest, save. Don't invest, save. And when we're talking about this aspect, we're talking about systems of the world. There are two main systems in this world. There's either the godly system or the worldly system. I'm not going to say satanic, I'm going to say worldly. So, this is an example I want to be able to say. The Bible never talks about saving. The Bible frowns upon saving. God talks about giving. Give, and it will be given back to you. Give, and it will be given back to you. Put things into the storehouse. Give, give, give. There was a servant in the Bible, according to what Jesus was saying, a parable of the talents. It was not talking about gifts, it was talking about money. Talents were money back then. And the master, who was a depiction of God, gave 3 servants different talents and said, go out and invest. How many was the first servant given? Any scholars in the building? The first servant was given how many talents? 5. Very good. The second servant was given how many talents? 2. Very good. Boniface, finish it off for me. The servant who, the last servant, how much was he given or she given? 1. And Jesus said that the master told these servants to go out and trade. Go to your Bible and let's see if it's there. So you cannot say that the talents were giftings. The talents were money. The master commissioned these servants to go out and trade. And this master is a depiction of God. And God is not a fool to give money to people who are not capable of giving him a return on his investment. Now, one servant went, he came back, he says, Master, I've gotten 5 out of my 5. So he made 100% return on his investment, right? The person who had 2 also got 2 back and he made 100% return on investment. So don't look at someone who made 15,000 thinking, I want my 15,000. His needs might be different to yours. If you make 2,000, you still make a return on investment, which is why we don't equate dollars to success, we equate percentages. Both the 5 and the 2 made back their money, 100%. But the one that had the 1, don't know what he was thinking of, but I'm sure he was a Ghanaian and said that with this 1, let me keep it. And then when it comes time, at least I can say to the master, I didn't lose the money. So this guy came back and he said that, Master, I know that you are a shrewd man. And I know that you're very serious about your money, Inti. I did not want to go and spend the money. So here is your 1 back. And the master was furious and said that I gave you a mandate because I believed in your ability to make money. And you have come back to give me what I had already given you. You could have at least gone to the bank, a worldly system, and gotten interest on your investment. So what am I going to do? You're going to be punished. Get away from me. Go to where there is gnashing of teeth. Now get this. Here's 1 that was given to him, was taken away, and it was given to the person with the 5. Here's a lesson you need to learn with this depiction. In this game of Forex, whatever you win is a result of somebody's loss. Not everybody wins in Forex. Let me give you this reality. Not everybody wins in Forex. Someone losing, someone being stingy, someone didn't not researching the market, got what was theirs taken from them, and the one who did the right thing got a bigger return on their investment, which they didn't even look for. So if you lose, it means that someone else is rejoicing. If you win, it means that you are capitalizing on somebody else's tears. It's the first lesson of Forex you need to understand. Drop a Y or a yes if you're with me. We're up to 50 participants. Well done for coming on. I can say that because I'm Ghanaian, and I know Ghanaian will be mad at me. And I'm sure he was Nashanti. Right? So understand that your loss is somebody's gain. Your gain is somebody's loss. Forex is risk. We understand that, but now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of how this thing actually plays. It's a dirty game, but it is a game that was done since the beginning of time. Forex always existed. Do not go to your church and let your sophomore or your pastor tell you that Forex is wicked. Because when you want to get your cash and go to a mobile money vendor to put it on your phone, that is an exchange. That's a financial exchange. When you want to get your Naira and turn it into cedis, that is also Forex. What we are doing is we are investing into currencies online. We are investing into the strength or the weakness of the euro. We're investing into the strength or the weakness of the US dollar. We're just doing all these things online, not in person. So Forex is not a scam, but yes, Forex is risky. This goes on to talk about how I was talking about two systems, right? So the system of God, or the system that is godly, is that you need to be an investor. You need to be always giving, because money was never built to be stagnant. Money was meant to be circulated around. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over. So he calls men to also give unto you. So that means that whatever you give, it's coming back to you, and it's going in a cycle. Okay, so understand that when you respect the principle of money, you're now able to take this Forex thing a lot more serious. Do not be in the mindset of saving. That is a bank system, and that is a system that will never allow you to see prosperity. Saving does not allow you to see that. Investing does, which means that you need to think about all the other systems of the world that are worldly, that are causing us to be shifting back. And you're going to find a lot of the things that we grew up thinking are right are actually wrong. And a lot of things that we thought were wrong are actually right. Let's move on, because I've talked about systems. I'll probably talk about systems a lot more in the later part, but let's get into some more learning. It's a recap and it's an introduction at the same time. So moving on, there are some lies that you've been told about the Forex market, other than Forex is risky and all that stuff. But it comes down to two main lies that you were told, okay? And I'm trying to follow the format of the first boot camp, but I already know I've strayed away, all right? But the first lie we were told is what? Who remembers that? Who remembers the first lie that we were told when it comes to Forex? We were told, do not trade Forex because the market is unpredictable. Do not trade Forex because the market is unpredictable. That was the first lie we've ever been told, and that is anti-God. It's anti-godly. The original Forex traders in the old times were the prophets. They were able to look up at the sky and say, yep, no rain for 3 years. Oh, wait, the sun is going to stay, right? The people that we look up to in those old times, they were Forex traders. Someone like Joseph had the wisdom to say, no, the way everybody is eating their crops, I sense a famine coming. So I'm now going to go out to every place and make sure I have crops. So when the time of famine comes, I can be rich off that. He used his wisdom to be able to capitalize in the marketplace. Another prophet said that by this time tomorrow at the gate of Samaria, a seah of barley would be reduced in price. Why is that so? The market cannot be unpredictable. The market has an expected destination of where it's going to. If it is unpredictable, then there will be no financial regulation. There needs to be a financial regulatory check every time. And that is, they can only manipulate the market by 2.5% at any given time. Anything else will cause a financial collapse. There is no such thing as unpredictability in the market. I am sorry to tell you, and many of us are Africans, and we should know better. Because when we look at a certain family and you want to marry into that family, you will hear a story to say, as for that family, dear, don't marry into that family because none of the women can give birth. Hey, how is that by coincidence? We know that not to be so. I've used this story many times. You've gone through your own family check and you do an analysis on yourself. God has said that you're going to be a great man or a great woman, but you're starting to look at one or two things that don't make sense. You start hearing the history of how your great grandfather hit the age of 40 and became an alcoholic and then died. Then your grandfather hit the age of 40, became an alcoholic, then died. Then your father, 40, died, alcoholic. Then your uncle, same thing. Then your big brother, same thing. You are now 38. Do not tell me that you're not thinking that in 2 years' time, you're going to pick up a bottle of alcohol and die. That is not a coincidence. That is something that was predetermined because some lady was angry at your great grandfather for not looking at her the right way. So she went to a malam, said your name 3 times, kicked the pot, and then the family lineage was changed. Our predestination is that we are going to heaven. That is not an unpredictable thing. Once we receive Christ, we know where we are going. Do not tell me it is unpredictable. The markets have to work in the same confines of this principle, and that is, it is going to an expected destination. Your job as traders is to understand where it is going, not how it is getting there. If you're with me, drop a 111. Your job is to understand where it is going, not how it's getting there. Your job is to be able to say, based on ABC, it's going 100 pips or 200 pips or 500 pips or 1,000 pips. We don't care about how many days it will take. We want to know the overall direction. That way we know that nothing is unpredictable. It's not so. It's never so. It's never going to be so. You should be able to look at the market and say, yep, because something is going to happen, something's going to happen drastic that will shake the market. If you were with me last year, we called many, many things, even 2 years ago, 2018. Was it not the Smurf village that predicted the hurricane that came in America? And we said that the US dollar has been strong. It needs a correction. A hurricane is going to come. Who was there when I made that prediction? Who was there when we said that the Japanese yen is going to have an unprecedented fall? Who was there when cryptocurrency decided to just fall? We called Bitcoin at 21,000 or 20,000, saying that this thing is going to, I think, 2,800. We predicted these things. It's not just a mere prediction. We used the calculation to know where it was going. Right? So this gift that we have in the markets is allowing us to have the pressure lifted off our shoulders by knowing where the market is going. Any uneducated person will take an uneducated guess for an uneducated destination. We are now educated on how the markets work. So that was the first lie that you were told. The second lie that you were told that discouraged many of you from trading is that you need to trade all the time. And that is definitely not so, okay? Because if you need to trade all the time, what difference is there between your job that's 9 to 5 and trading? The biggest mistake you can do as a trader is adopt a 9 to 5 mentality into trading. I want to challenge every single one of you to spend no more than 10 hours a week trading. The less you trade, the more you make. I'm going to repeat that again for those who are taking notes. The less you trade, the more you make. I want to get into this point a little bit more. All right. I want to get into this point a little bit more. You see, most of the times when the markets move or there is a reaction of the market, it is someone who is watching the market all the time informing someone who is not watching the market all the time what is happening. And the ironic thing of that is the person who is watching the market all the time is someone who doesn't even have the means or the capacity to trade, but they're trading psychologically in their head or in a demo account. If you are a person that cannot sleep while your trade is going on, then you've done something wrong. If you are someone that is at your workplace and you have a trade on and you can't concentrate on your trade, it means you have done something wrong. I am not going to beat around the bush with this. As beginners, when you do something wrong, you already know. When you do the right thing, when you do the right lot size, which we will cover, when you get the right leverage, which we will cover, you can let a trade run for 2 weeks and not even break a sweat because you know the destination. When you are focusing on something all the time, it becomes unattractive. And here's an experiment. When you type the same word 10 times, all of a sudden, around the seventh or eighth time, you're going to question yourself and ask, did I spell this right? Because it looks wrong with the way I spell. Because your mind is always analytical. So it will break down things that don't need to be broken down. So the more time you look at something, the more that thing becomes unattractive. Okay? The more, no matter how much you love your significant other, the more you are with them, the more you want to, what's the word? The more you find them annoying. You're saying, is this the person I saw their picture online with all these filters? Is this the same person here? Right? You're looking at something that you thought was perfect, but the more time you spent with that thing became imperfect. Now, on top of that, the more time you spend on something, the more there is room for speculation. Ladies, how often do you see that your man is on the phone for more than 30 minutes? The first 5 minutes, you don't care. Oh, he's just, maybe he's looking on Instagram. That is fine. After 10 minutes, he starts giggling to himself. He sees something funny. You're like, ah, that's funny. But now you're getting curious as to what is he actually laughing at and why is he not laughing with me? After 20 minutes, he's still on his phone, right? And you're thinking, okay, something is going on. After 30 minutes, you're thinking he's talking to someone else. Why? You've been with that same person for a long period of time, but the more you're exposed to a situation, the more and more room for speculation starts taking place. How many of you understand this concept? Type in a Y or a yes in the chat box. So, now, how many of you have maybe a significant other or maybe a family member that annoys you, but when you haven't seen them for 2 weeks, you miss them? No matter how annoying they are, you actually miss them, right? How many? So why do we do this? It's because we want to allow you to know that the less time you spend, it gives you less room for speculation, will give you less time to question your analysis, will give you less time to doubt. It's just going to run and run and run. But when you're watching something, you're watching the way the candles are moving up and down. You're seeing your account balance and it's starting to be red, and then it's blue, then it's red, then it's blue. You're stressing yourself. You start speaking in tongues. You're talking to yourself. All those things are happening because you spend too much time on your charts. We've been told that this thing is hard. We've been told that this thing is difficult. And I believe that is a fallacy that will discourage Africans from being able to trade in the markets. Because where I am from and where other places are from, like other people are from, like America and the UK, we have these economic studies in our schooling system. We don't have them here. Even when it comes to brokers, most brokers will not even help Africa. There is a reason for that. So when you are given that information to say that, Charlie, you need to be on this market every day, all day, otherwise you won't get money. It's a deterrent. It puts you off completely to say that this thing is hard, and it's not true. If you can spend 7 to 10 hours in the week to trade, you're going to see that your results are going to be phenomenal. 1 hour on a Monday, maybe 1 or 2 hours on a Tuesday, 1 or 2 hours on a Wednesday, 1 or 2 hours on a Thursday, and then 1 hour on a Friday. If you're able to do that, you are going to enjoy a better quality of life. Type in a Y or a yes if you are with me. Type in a Y or a yes if you're with me. So these are two lies, and I mean, there are many lies about Forex, but I've summarized them into two. The market is not unpredictable, and you don't need to trade all the time. You don't. Okay? Do not have that idea in your head. Once you get to a higher level, especially in the brain hub, I encourage every person who is a trader to have an offline business, no matter how big or small. What you want to do is the remaining time that you have, focus on your offline business and grow that. because I'm going to end this section here. Excuse me. Forex is not the end. Which means that it's not your final option. It's not the final destination. No, Forex is not the end. We have not designed this academy to be the end. It's your starting point. Forex is the means to an end. Not the end, an end. We want to use our Forex knowledge to make money, to then supply our businesses, to grow our businesses, to be able to do what we've always wanted to do. If you want to use Forex to study a course that you actually want to study, then you use your Forex for that. If you want to grow an offline business, then use your Forex money for that. If you want to then maybe travel, go to different parts of the country, of the world, use your Forex for that. But don't use your Forex as this is it for me, otherwise nothing else will work. No, you need to have something that you are funding in order to keep this motivation going. I've been able to use Forex to give birth to four, 4 businesses. And one of the businesses, the Man Cave, I'm looking to add an additional 3 shops. Actually, no, 4, because I'm looking to do one in Nigeria very soon. How is that possible? Because of Forex. Right? So use this Forex as the motivation to then fund the things that you need to be able to fund. Are we cool? Can we get into the next section? Let me know by dropping in next section into the chat box.